Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, blessed by God to be here and to share the air with you. And I mean that literally. We are sharing the air. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. Her name is Lucy Colman. Lucy has written a science fiction book, but she's far more interesting than just being a writer because she pulls from so many different things in her life. You know, being a MD and dealing with fertility, and she's an embryologist. What? This woman is like that and a bag of chips plus a Pepsi all in one. How are you doing, Lucy?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing fine, great. You know, despite here is nearly 10 o'clock, but it's good.
That's all right. So let everybody know where you're residing right now.
Oh, well, I'm right now in Saudi Arabia. This is an amazing country. I'm in love with this place.
And it's nice and warm too, right?
Source of my inspiration.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
How did you get to being in Saudi Arabia? Because you're originally from South America, correct?
Yes. It's because my husband, he's working here right now. So we're going to be here for a few more months and then going back to the States. We were living in the States.
Where were you in the United States?
State College, Pennsylvania.
Ah, okay.
And I used to go to Detroit a lot.
Well, I'm not in Detroit anymore. I miss Detroit and I venture back. I'm in India. I'm not too far. I'm near Chicago now.
Oh, yeah, not too far.
But you wrote this book, Isabel's Bridge. Tell me about that. How did that come about? I mean, I would expect you to write, a book on fertility, natural fertility methods, what your embryo goes through. That's what I would expect. So how did you come to make a science fiction book on this story based on Isabel and Alex?
It's just something that came into my mind once and it kept developing, and I don't know, the ideas were floating in, and I just one day sat there and couldn't stop writing. So yeah, it is very interesting because now I'm about to release the third book.
Oh, so let's go back. Let's trace it out because I thought there was only one book, which is Isabel's Bridge, And for those of you who don't know, this is about two beings who come from Gaia, correct?
Yes.
And which is a distant universe. But let's go back to the first book, and because.
Yeah, but these two beings, they are actually Zagreus, which is Alex in Earth, and Isabel, and her original name is Magala in Gaia. So they are together, they live together there, but there's a prophecy that forbids them to be together. So they decide to escape Gaia, and they need to look a place to go. So they came to the universe, to the cosmic universe, and they speak to the administrators of this universe. And they say to them, okay, fine, you can come and find asylum here. However, you need to obey the universal laws, all the cosmic laws, the physical laws in this universe. And one of them is that you need to reincarnate in order to grow and evolve as a being here.
Right. So it's kind of like what we go through.
Exactly. That's exactly what we go through. So yeah, they say, fine, we're going to do that. But then things start happening between the coordination. When one comes, the other one is about to die, and vice versa. So it's very complicated for them. And that's how the story develops. And she's an embryologist. She's an MD and specialist in fertility too. She's an embryologist. So she established these bridges between the bridges that she starts establishing is between dimensions with Gaia. So she can bring beings from Gaia to incarnate into the cells of the embryo she's been creating.
Wow. You went deep.
It's very interesting.
I mean, but for anybody to do this accurately, you would be the one who could bring this forth. You know, you've connected your spiritual self with your clinical self to bring forth this kind of science fiction, which may not really be science fiction. It's only science fiction to us because we may not understand it, or it may be a good take on something that could actually occur. It's just that we're just not used to it. So you started off with Isabel. I mean, the premise is Isabel's Bridge, but the 3 books are, well, the 2 books that are in publication are The Golden Sleep and A Paradox.
Yes.
Which one was first, though? Was that?
Oh, A Paradox was the first one, and then The Golden Sleep is the second book.
So let's talk about A Paradox. So this is where the contract was made, and they start discovering this plane or this dimension of life, and bringing everything together. So when we get to Isabel's Bridges, that's when she begins to bring those entities into the embryos that she is incarnating in this lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. She's creating them because they just get tired. They get tired now that it doesn't happen for them. So Isabel decides this time that the other thing is that when they come, they incarnate. Another thing is that you come with a veil, which means that you won't remember anything from your previous lives. So she needs to remember, and he needs to remember who they are and what they came here to do. And that's what happens to us. You know, when we come, we need to incarnate, and we have the veil, and it is up to us to remember our way. So that's what they have to do.
This reminds me of a Clive Barker book, but it was different. It was totally different than yours. But there was this prince or this king who had his heart broken because he fell in love with a human, but he was eternal. So he had this guardian that every 10 years would show up in his life and wipe his memory, and he would start all over again.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Basically.
And it's sad because that's what really happens to us. Every time we incarnate here, that's what really happens to us. We forget everything. And then we need to remember our way again. Sometimes we don't, or sometimes we do, or sometimes we just know from the beginning what we came here to do. And that's what happened with Isabel. She remembered early, so she knows what she has to do. And she had the opportunity because she became an embryologist. She studied medicine in this lifetime, and then she knows how to deal with cells. And she wants to bring these beings into this planet Earth because Earth is dying. And these beings from Gaia, they are very advanced. They know a lot. And they know about physics, they know science, engineering, and medicine. So they come to contribute into this world. Oh. And that's what she's trying to do, create these healthy beings through genetically engineering. And then these beings are coming, and they are actually going to fight a war. It's a war coming. The third book is going to be called The Great War.
Wow.
And that's what this whole thing, the war is going to happen on Earth against demons, aliens, Gaians, administrators from the cosmic universe, humans.
So I want to ask you this. You've brought in a lot of principles that many of my guests have talked about.
Yes.
We've talked about incarnating. We've talked about energy. We've talked about multidimensionalism. And it's really common to me because these themes keep coming up in my life. And I made the Billionaire Lifestyle really to be about life. But this spiritual component, because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, how does that play into your life? Because you're two people in one body, which is you're this clinical person who is dealing with these fact-based things here on earth, but then you have this diverse spiritual side that's bringing in this information to you.
Yeah, but that's new because, well, I would say relatively new. I changed. I changed a lot, maybe 4 years ago. I was completely clinical, very, I would say too straightforward with things, with science, very scientific minded, and didn't even believe that there was a God or anything like that. I thought, no, medicine can do everything and fix anything. Then I nearly died myself from a brain tumor and something that happened to me. And then I started to see these other fields of study, which is hypnosis, Reiki, yoga. And I learned so much through that. Then I started to establish a very close connection with embryos in a way that they actually could send me messages somehow. So every time I do a case with patients, I travel to Venezuela every 3 months to work there in a clinic. It's a fertility clinic where I'm the scientific director. Even after I came out of the closet and said, I'm not a scientific person anymore. Now I believe in the spiritual world too. So, I can resign right now, and they said, no, continue doing this. So I took up many cases from patients that were very difficult ones. And these embryos that I was creating, they like music. They told me even the type of music they like. And they send me messages to their parents or their future parents. They send me many messages, and many of the messages that I got from them are on the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with, how was this a shock to you? Because you were when you start opening up to different technologies, especially when you're based here on Earth and you're very, okay, if I can't get data, then it really does not exist and it's not. But there are some things that we just can't measure yet. I think we've forgotten more than we actually know. So we're trying to get back to that point where we can communicate with the energies that are around us. Did you have a really hard time, working through that, during your period?
It was very difficult. You always resist to changes, especially when changes are so big. And when you are a businesswoman and run a fertility clinic and have been creating a name for yourself of being a very tough and serious and scientific person, objective, to come and say, I can hear what embryos are telling me. There are different dimensions now. We're measuring electromagnetic activities in the embryology lab and finding lots of data. And things like that, or talk to patients and say, okay, your future son or your future babies are telling me this about you. It is a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it is. So do you go out and speak, or are you involved in any communities? I mean, because this is so different. I mean, so they're opposites, really. You're taking two different things, but you're bringing them back together. It's kind of like science and being a human. So your brain is one center, but your heart is a different center, and you're finding the connection between the two.
Yeah. And the book is a way for me to convey that message that I've been getting, or all those messages that I have been getting from the embryos, from things that are happening and will happen in the world according to them, and putting it in a way that is easier for people to understand, maybe, because I know a few things are a bit complex still, but trying to make it easier, and also in an amusing way, because it's a very nice, loving story. So it doesn't get because I thought about it. I thought, okay, should I just write a book about what the embryos are telling me and that's it? But I thought the messages are very complex.
Yeah.
Because they talk about dimensions, about opening wormholes, about people coming to this earth through black holes, micro black holes, things like that.
Did you say micro black holes?
Micro black holes. That's what they say. And then I've been researching about it too. I even, I'm a fan of this guy called, he's Kip Thorne. He's the author or the one that wrote the movie Interstellar. He was working alongside Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
And I was amazed with the science that is behind that movie, because it's so much what I've been listening to. I've been hearing embryos telling me that. I remember once I told my husband, he was shocked too when he saw all my changes. And then once I told him, today the embryos told me that there are micro black holes and that people travel across dimensions through black holes, and there are different areas from the universe. One is an area where all the physical things are, and the other one is like a spiritual area or something ethereal. And I couldn't find the explanation for that. And then I went a few months later with my brother to watch this movie Interstellar, and I was amazed when I saw that everything was happening through black holes. And nobody understood the movie. I understood the movie.
See, you're going to make me watch it now, because for me, that's the that movie is the closest movie to reality. When people believe science fiction, I don't think that movie is science fiction. You're right. That is absolutely true, because this works out for the good and the bad. I believe this. So whatever you believe can become true. For instance, if I say something about you in the public, even though it's not true, but everybody believes it, it literally becomes true.
Yes.
I mean, we're seeing that all around the world. You see this person, you're like, oh, I really like this person. All of a sudden, somebody says something, that says they're a bad person. Mm-hmm. You're like, they did something bad, but that does not make them a bad person. But they become, in reality, a bad person. That's just one example. So you are absolutely right in these things about science fiction. The things that 20, 30, 50 years ago, we were like, that's science fiction. It's normal now.
Exactly. It's happening. 50 years ago, you wouldn't have imagined being able to do this. To touch someone that is on the other side of the world, making at least this kind of interview and then being able to broadcast it somewhere else. What? No, never.
This is really bizarre, because I had a bucket list, and in 2008 was a big change for me, not only in the economy of the world, but it started a big change inside of me that had already begun, but it sped up when 2007, 2008 hit. One of those was, I want to have friends. I want to have conversations with people that live nowhere near me and who I don't know. Mm-hmm. And through this podcast, The Billionaire Lifestyle, I've gotten to know like really people that are just magnificent like yourself, who bring a new perspective to the world. And they change my perspective and help me to learn. So I see the world differently now. Yeah. Now, I had a guest a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago who was talking about when we incarnate into this world that, people die on this planet, or people transition. So they leave this earth, but the energy does not go away. It just changes form. Yeah. And then depending on how long they lived in a body on this earth determines how long it will take for them to come back. Mm-hmm. And that also they choose their parents. They begin choosing their parents at the time of those two people coming together, because that creates the portal for these not earth beings to come into this planet. Specifically, this guy said the beings incarnate into the embryo, which kind of blew me away when I started talking to you, because you kind of focused back in and said, that's kind of real.
Yeah. And if you actually measure the electromagnetic activity happening around the embryo after the time of fertilization, is amazing the results that you get a few hours later, not immediately after you have the fertilization, because you can have a chemical reaction there. You do have it. If physically you have it, and it can be measured. But no, you have a huge, like an atomic bomb amount of energy in comparison with that tiny cell happening around it a few hours later. That has no relationship with any biological step happening at that time. So it's like something is really happening there. And it might be the time when beings are actually incarnating here. Whatever they want to do. If they want to die early, they die as embryos. Or if they want to die as a miscarriage, they die as a miscarriage.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah. Whatever they decide. Whatever. If they decide to come into a woman that he might have a miscarriage before 20 weeks, they want to experience that in this lifetime, they do.
Wow. I never thought of that fact, because I was going to ask you, since you are an embryologist, what is the result of miscarriage? Because it could be literally a fine connection in the uterus. Everything's perfect, but it just self-aborts. It's like, this minute, I'm not going to make it. Because we talk so much about where life begins. We can only measure it when we see, this entity that can move and kind of communicate in very basic ways. But before, when it's just a mass of cells, when it's in that billion stage.
That's the bittersweet part of being an embryologist, when you are the witness of life. But then, even though you know that you did your best to create a healthy embryo and everything is fine, the woman is prepared, everything was perfect, the embryo transfer, then something happened. And the baby is lost, and they have a miscarriage. It's sad. And that's when you say, okay, unexplained. I hate that word, unexplained. Everything that medicine can't explain is unexplained. Oh, I'm sorry, you have unexplained infertility, or unexplained miscarriage, or unexplained immunological disease, or whatever. Everything unexplained. So I thought, no, I can't be like this. There must be something else. And that's why this energetic component is so important, because they know. I feel my patients now are more aware. What this brings is awareness to them that whatever happens, it was meant to happen. So if they get pregnant, that's fine. But if they don't get pregnant, it's because they need to learn and experience that at that moment. So they need to get the positive out of it. I know there is frustration, sadness, because I was hope, I had so much hope that I was going to be pregnant. We spent so much money. I know there's so many expectations, but maybe they might be even unreal expectations. So when you have this awareness that you're going to go through a process and you're going to do your best, whatever you do in life, not just the procedure, the fertility procedure, whatever you do in life, and something doesn't go as you were planning to do, then don't worry. You needed to go through that. That's a good thing. So that's very nice, because now patients are very conscious of what is going to happen in their system. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So are you going to speak or do presentations or have readings of your book? Are you going to be seen in public?
I have done a few, but because I'm in Saudi Arabia, it's very difficult.
Right.
To move from here. I've been invited to do a few talks and things like that in the States. We're going back to the States next year, and I'm going to be based in Houston for the time being.
Yeah, that's hot. It's hot and humid there.
Yeah, I know. Hot. I know. I've been there. I have a few friends there, and I did the diploma certificate with hypnosis in the Path Foundation there. because I decided to take upon hypnosis, which is an amazing, amazing field of medicine. That's a way to go through the mind, and go exactly to the subconscious where everything that I would say the gem is, the root of the problems.
What's weird for me is that you, as a clinician, just said hypnosis as like a medical scientific field, because for a while, they were really separated, and it's really...
Oh yeah, I know. Many colleagues hate it.
It's really invigorating.
I like it. Yes, I know that.
To see.
But it is, as a hypnotherapist knows a lot about the human mind. When I was doing these studies with hypnosis, I learned things that I didn't even know that the brain could do. And I went through medical school. I did the whole thing for so many years, 15 years. I don't know how many years you do medical school, then a specialization and all that. And I never heard things so interesting about the human mind like when I was there. I was there listening to everything that Doyle was telling me. He was in charge of the Path Foundation at that time. And I was amazed, thinking like, oh my goodness, so can we do this? Yeah, with your mind. You can actually cure yourself. There is a guy that I admire a lot. It's called Bruce Lipton. And he talks about epigenetics and the way how all the external environment affects your health in your body. So, and I have seen things, for example, maybe this doesn't relate too much to this subject, but it's interesting because I have seen kids that are coming from an egg donor, and we use the egg donor for this recipient, which is going to be the mother, and the baby is very much like that carrier. Even though genetically they are not the same, they are not related, but they are even physically like the mother. So it's like the environment made him change his genetic.
Yeah.
And it happens. You can change your genetics by using your mind alone. But the thing is that when you're born, the first 6-7 years of your life, if something happens and you make a mistake, which we make huge mistakes, those first years of life, that's where all the problems start. If somebody told you when you were 3-4 years old, oh, I'm sorry, you're not worth it, or you're not a good guy, or you're not behaving well, things like that, you will believe that. Your subconscious is open during those 6-7 years. And the subconscious will absorb all that information. And after the 7 years, it will close. Nothing else matters. Whatever you tell yourself, whatever somebody tells you, if somebody comes to your life and start telling you very nice things, forget it. Your subconscious already believes that you're not worth it. And the only way to access there is through meditation, but it has to be very, very strong meditation, or hypnosis. Hypnosis is very easy. So that's the only way.
So how can people find good hypnosis? I mean, because this is a trust issue. Usually
that's very difficult.
Yeah, because when you're going under hypnosis, you're literally giving power to someone else to shape your being.
No, actually, no. People believe that, and that's a common misbelief. I would say that that's a mistake, and I don't know why it has been portrayed that way. But it's actually when you go through hypnosis, it's like meditation. You will remember everything. A few things you might not remember, but nobody's going to tell you to do anything you don't want to do, because even though if I can access your subconscious mind, your conscious mind still there around is your like your battle hose. It won't allow me to do anything that he considers to be wrong or against your values and beliefs. And it will always be there, guarding you and looking after you. So I would just access the subconscious and try to find the root of the problems. And they are usually in the first years of life.
So let me ask you this. How long has it been since you've taken these two different parts and brought them together?
4 years, about 4 years.
So you suffered a physical change.
Yes.
In your head, in your brain. And so was it one of those things where you looked into the clinical part and then you're like, maybe I should try this other thing? How did that come about?
Well, it wasn't actually like that because I was kind of sure that I was going to die. So I didn't look for that as a way of trying to heal myself because I didn't even believe I could be healed any other way. I didn't believe in the spiritual area. Nothing like that. I never meditated before or anything. But it was a tumor and it couldn't be even operated. And I thought, okay, fine. They gave me a few months and I thought, fine. I'm just going to do the most of it. And then I came across this path through my husband. He practices CrossFit a lot. And CrossFit also, they have a component with yoga. They do yoga. And he was practicing for the Spartan race.
Yeah.
And he told me, I know this. Oh, yeah, he did all that. He said, I know this very nice place where I do yoga and, with Gretchen and Doug Hayward. He's amazing. And I went there. I said, yoga, I can't even, I'm not flexible. I can't do anything like that. So he convinced me. I went there and I met them, amazing people. They told me so much about other areas, about the spiritual world, meditation. We learned the basics and I became a yoga instructor too because I did a 2-year course with them. And yeah, it was just something like it started happening without me even thinking about my tumor.
Huh.
And 6 months later, I went back to my control because we were just going to see if it was growing more or anything. I felt fine and it disappeared completely. It wasn't there. And I remember I used to say to myself, I don't know why, but I don't believe this is my time to go yet. I believe I still got things to do here.
So do you think you got rid of that in your consciousness so it went away?
I think so, yes. And through meditation, I changed my diet completely into a vegetarian, nearly plant-based diet. I changed completely everything, my exercises, yoga, trying to meditate every morning and night. And yeah, and so, I quit I had 3 jobs and I quit 2 of them and I just stayed with one.
Right. So do you think meditation could help the world? If everybody meditated for 7 minutes a day.
Oh, I would say 5 minutes is enough. 5 minutes of meditation. Even if you fall asleep, just 5 minutes of meditation is enough.
Well, it takes me 3 minutes just to get into the mode where I can do it.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's interesting because now that I'm finishing editing the 3rd book with Isabel's Bridges, there is a component of this great war when she needs to meditate and communicate to these beings from Gaia because the war is happening. And there is a component of the war called the mental war, where all the demons that are around Earth or around the universe, trying to get these lost souls and frustrated people, they get inside. So these beings that were supposed to be pure and love, they become dark and they start doing bad things like killers or serial killers. So these people that kill babies or children or these crazy people having these politic problems and whatever, this craziness happening in the world today. Yeah. So she needs to get all her beings that are pure and love trying to fight against these demons.
Yeah.
And she does it through meditation. And
wow.
they are babies because they They haven't been on Earth for longer than 5-6 years because she's been creating them recently. So they are children, babies, and they go into meditation and connect with her because they are on a very young body, but they are very advanced and wise beings.
Wow. So that reminds me of my middle daughter now. She used to be my youngest till I remarried. But we talked.
How old is she?
She's 27.
Oh, she's 27, but you look, oh my goodness, you look as if you were 23 years old.
Thank you. No, that's my middle daughter. My oldest daughter's 35.
What? That's impossible. I'm not going to ask how old are you because I'm going to have a heart attack now.
So my daughter and I, we have this conversation. We were talking about some people in our lives because we all, as a family, went through some stuff. And my daughter and I came to this conclusion, like, we can't hold this against some people in our family because they are not evolved souls. They're young souls. Even though they look old, they're just young souls and they don't know how to navigate like older souls do. So you can't.
Maybe they are young souls, or maybe they were meant to experience that. You know, maybe they are helping you guys to evolve. Because that happens too. Sometimes you plan, okay, let's say you go and then you and me meet somewhere around that dimension. And I tell you, I need your help. I need you to kill me in my next lifetime. I need you to be my murderer. Will you agree to that? I need your help. So people might think that you are lost soul and you are very young, you're not evolved, but no, you're helping me actually because I needed to experience being dead because maybe I need my mother to forgive you. And the biggest proof is my mom has to grow and gain more points and vibrate higher through forgiveness.
Wow.
That's very hard. I know some people in Africa, they have these clans that if somebody from a clan kills a member of another clan, the family has to get the killer and adopt him as if he was their own family.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the way they know that's the way that they need to evolve. And they evolve through forgiveness.
Yeah, that's what's...
It's very hard.
Yeah, that's what gets me about...
That's part of the ego. We come with that. I told you, we come with the veil and ego. The ego is the demon in our lives.
I've heard that before, especially with Eckhart Tolle. That was my start, was Eckhart Tolle, and moving through people like yourself and people on the Billionaire Lifestyle podcast. It's been a great journey. But let me ask you this last question. What would you like to impart upon the Billionaire Lifestyle audience? Besides get your book, which you can get it on Amazon. Can you get it on Barnes & Noble too?
No, just Amazon.
Okay.
So far, but so far Amazon.
So it's Isabel's Bridges, and there's 2 books now with a third one to come. Where else can they find you? Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page where I'm always posting things about my projects. It's called Lucy Colman Life. That's my Facebook page. And I also have a YouTube channel that is called Lucy Colman. Okay. They can find me there. I'm always posting things and links through my different other social media. And I try, that's the other thing. I try to interact with my people myself. I don't use anybody to manage my social media. I like to do it myself. That's why maybe I don't interact that much. But when I'm interacting, I try to make it, it's a quality interaction. Okay. Because I get many questions.
Very good. Do you also get like fact-based, science-based, like people who are trying to have children?
Oh, yes. I have lots of videos in our clinic's website and testimonies from patients, cancer patients that were told that they can't conceive anymore. Oh, no, we can do it now. Okay. With their own eggs. And yeah, we have been doing very great things.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me and for the time, trying to sort this with the communication.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how the podcast ends. You know it. If you've been here before, you're going to hear it again. So what I need you to do is start at the self. I always use the analogy when you're getting out the shower, but it doesn't have to be that. Just take some time. And I say take some time when you're at your very bare essence. And when I mean bare, I mean nude, like you're by yourself. Go into the bathroom, and I say coming out the shower because that's the perfect opportunity, and just bask in the glory that is you. Remember, I told you guys, the billionaire lifestyle is not about money. It is about living, because when one cell met another cell and 30 days later, 2 to the power of 30 is over 1 billion. So at your inception, you were a billionaire. What you came to do was not to make money and strive for things. You came for the experience. Let me say that again. You came to this place for the experience. Money and cars and all this stuff, it's a minute experience, but you came because you want to be able to physically connect with other souls and other bodies. So what I need you to do is get close to the mirror, and I need you to look at between that, on either side of the thing that brings air into your life, which is your nose. There are these nebulae, as above, so below. We are all fractal. And I need you to look at that. I really need you to pay attention to how they contract and expand. I need you to look at your face and look at all the wrinkles if you have them, or how smooth it is. Whatever you have is perfectly you. And then when you go out into the world and you are with other beings and you find that they have those same nebulae in their head, they may only have one. They may have ones that don't function right, but you know that they are like you, that they started off with that cluster of 1 billion cells. And I want you to treat them with love, honor, respect, but it starts with you, because if you don't love, honor, and respect yourself, you can't do that to others. And if you think no one loves you, listen to my voice and take this in and take it to heart. I got mad love for you. So there's your love for today. Go in peace. And remember, always download all the podcasts. Peace.